I was called back to the clinic 10 days later for a consultation with Dr. Doornail. After a long wait, he rushed in with his clipboard in hand and an assistant trailing behind him with a stack of paper. The results from the blood marrow sample and other blood work were in, and the news was even worse than expected. It wasn't multiple myeloma after all, another misdiagnosis. I was told that the new test results were definitive and that I had an extremely rare and incurable cancer of the lymphatic system instead. Doornail neither paused nor looked up to see if this information had any effect on me or how I may have felt about the news. How about that? Just days before Christmas, and I was being told that I have a cancer that cuts my life expectancy down to 3, maybe 5 years. I was also informed that besides being incurable, there was also very little research being done on this particular form of cancer due to its rarity. As I had been ill and misdiagnosed the 2 years preceding this new discovery, the doctors felt I had used up 2 of my too few years. Surprise! I was looking at 1 to 3 years of a dwindling existence. My mind automatically latched onto the single, solitary 1-year bit, which made the whole situation even more dramatic. He then launched into an explanation that sounded as if he was dictating notes into a machine. His discourse was technically over my head, but I think if you have either worked on a used car lot or been in the music business for a few years, you develop an unusually keen sense of when someone is presenting something to you that doesn't add up. It was obvious to me that an element of professional jibe was coming down. Bottom line, he was telling me that with this particular diagnosis, the facility would qualify for a lucrative research grant if they had a sufficient number of candidates that fit specific criteria for a new chemotherapy study program. Mine was one of the incurables that was in that group. I was exactly what they were looking for. Lucky me. I wasn't able to spell, pronounce, or even mouth the names of the drugs or procedures that were listed on the pages in that stack of papers. But deep down I knew I didn't want any of that stuff put in me. I felt a lot of pressure from their presentation, and naturally they wanted to start immediately. Now it was my turn to be inconsiderate. I didn't respond. I didn't accept the signing pen and paper being handed to me. I turned. I left. I was becoming very good at running out of that building. When I left the oncology center that time, things were different. I got tough inside. I can't explain the feeling. It wasn't as though I had scriptures flowing in and out of my head, that I was mad at God, that I was resting in His promises, or that I became resigned to anything. Instead, I became a blank canvas waiting for a clear picture to be painted inside me. I wasn't lost, found, or in between anything. I felt a strength I had never felt before and knew that I didn't need to define it. I had Pink Floyd's Momentary Lapse of Reason cranked way up on my car stereo as I headed for Bodega Bay. As I got closer to the ocean, pieces came together in my head. It was as if there were an exchange going on inside, and the only reason I was included was because it was taking place in my head and was about my body. There is an incredible difference between knowing that you are going to die someday and actually going about the business of doing it. You don't get a lot of practice. When it does eventually become your turn to give it a go, you might discover a certain unyieldingness of spirit that is curiously juxtaposed with a bewildering sense of acceptance as the whole unwieldy process unfolds. A complicated dichotomy sets in, and its machinations become the norm as you bounce back and forth between reality, notions, imaginations, and embedded misconceptions about how things are supposed to be. I drove straight home. I didn't want to look at the ocean. I didn't want its comfort, its lapping, enveloping rhythms. The house was cold, and I didn't want to be warm. I stopped in the middle of the room and closed my eyes. I did everything I could to empty out my mind, my heart, and conceptions about my place in the world. I only wanted to go numb. I finally opened my eyes, and the room came back into focus. I realized that I'd been standing alone in nothing but darkness for more than an hour. I also realized that the empty place inside was being filled up with something good.